Fuzzy Gloves here, and today I'm going to show you a free VST. This one is a distortion plugin by Melda Audio Productions. It's called MWavefolder. I have a dry signal. It sounds like this. And then I'm going to run it now. I've turned on the MWavefolder, so this is what the plugin does to the sound. Pretty cool. So it is a distortion plugin, and we have various controls here. And the way distortion plugin works, this one is based on a model or a set of equations that will change. You change various parts of the equation, and will change how it affects your sound. So first up we have drive, and I believe this is based on some sort of a power transform. High drive amounts will cause it to sound like noise, and so as you go through the presets, you may come across presets that sound really noisy. If you bring down the drive, it may better suit your signal. Other times you may want a higher drive amount. It just depends on your input signal. You're able to change the input and the dry wet. Right now it's 100% wet. So wet, if you're unfamiliar, it just means affected. So only affected signal. So this is 100% the process signal coming out right now. I'm able to change the character, and the way they describe it is 0 is very digital, and 100% is analog, and then they dare to say that over 100% is more than analog. And they put a little smiley face in their little description if you go look at it. And that's just, when people say stuff like that, that pretty much is just code for it's going to process things differently every time in ways to emulate like things heating up, things cooling down. It's less consistent, basically, is what this is. We have symmetry and non-linearity. Symmetry, basically this is DC offset. And then we also have, and this is, okay, really quick on the symmetry. So here we have symmetric. And you can see it's very clearly being put up into the positive range. And this one looks to be pushing into the negative range. And this has to do with just the input signal. This is important to have DC blocker with it because, as you can see right now, it's causing clicking and just a whole bunch of problems. DC blocker, it just takes the signal and puts the average of the signal back to 0 to help avoid some of those problems. So very cool, and it's a really nice way to add some grit to your signal. We also have non-linearity. So this basically, whenever you have something that's non-linear, it means it's not going to process it consistently throughout its range, whatever that is. So let's say, for example, it was dependent on how loud our signal was when it hit it, which is probably what's going on. This means that as our signal gets louder, it will be processed differently than when it is softer. And so non-linearity will increase the differences in this processing. So yeah, non-linear. That's pretty much what it means. Now, if we move over here, we have pre-high pass, low pass. So we can, for example, high pass our sound so that only lower frequencies are processed. And then we could do the same with low pass. Now, because we don't have any dry signal going out, these just act as filters, basically. And then we have our post low pass, which after our signal is processed, do we low pass it again? Our automatic gain control, what this does is at times when you're, especially with distortion stuff, things may get really loud, and this just takes down the volume for you. This is to help you so that you make judgments based on what the plugin does to the character of your sound instead of whether or not it's making your sound louder or softer, which is incredibly valuable in mixing. We also have our oversampling placed front and center. Normally it's up here over to the side, but in this case they put it right here because oversampling is a big deal when you're dealing with distortion, and so you may consider increasing the oversampling so that it will sound different. So you're going to want to try it out because it's very common to hit aliasing with distortion. We also have our meters. Oh, one thing about the scope, you can collapse the scope and that just saves processing power. I usually work with my stuff open, and then I make sure to close the plugin to save my processing power for other things, because it's not worth having the scope running in the background. If I'm like working over here, that would be a waste of CPU. So you could close this though if processing is really that much of a concern. You have meters as well, and you can collapse those by hitting this button down here. And you even have a mono meter. So pretty nifty stuff. You have your little preset morpher and additional things over here. I'll let you deal with this stuff. It's common in all their things. Another thing that's very common in Melda audio production stuff is they have the ability to do preset exchange. So you make some presets and you can exchange presets online. there's quality control. So you can get some really useful presets out of it. So I believe in order to partake in this, you actually have to submit useful presets as well. And they have their own little preset system, just tons of options. But basically, it's a really nice way to color your sound. So if we were to go through here, like, oh, that's okay. We see our drive's not that high. Eventually, we're going to come across stuff that we might not want our drive that high. See, there we have something where the DC blocker, see our symmetry is a little funny. It sounds like we have the filters going. So we can hear that high-end crispiness. See, that one, our drive might be a little too high. So, pretty nifty stuff. If you have any questions about this, let me know. I will put a link to the web page. I recommend getting it with the M effects bundle. Actually, it doesn't even look like you can get it separate. Maybe you have to do it that way. I don't know, but I did that. And when they have an upgrade price, and if you do the upgrade, it gets rid of an annoying banner that says you should upgrade. But it's otherwise functional, but you can't resize the plug like this, which I find to be very, very useful. I think it's like, I don't know, somewhere around there. It's pretty cramped, in my opinion. But in this case, all it is a scope and some knobs, so you may not care in this particular scenario. If you have any questions about this, let me know. Subscribe, and have a blessed day.